Men and women all over the globe are joining now for the best videos on the internet.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
And I'm doing my part too.
They're doing their part. Are you? Click the subscribe button now to become a member of the Action Pack. Would you like to know more?
Hello everyone and welcome. So it has been an interesting last 3 months. We've had an interesting, definitely an interesting quarter. And look, I have to apologize. I know this action update is coming up. Coming out late. A lot of things have been going on, and we're going to talk about it. I know that we've had a little bit. We've been on the slow side as far as reviews go. Actually, no video game reviews, but we're going to get into it. I had a vacation this year, and it kind of messed some things up, but we're going to talk about it. We've had some pretty big news as well, and I want to tell you guys what that means. So make sure to watch ahead and find out everything that is going on with Mike's After Action Reviews. So as I said, this is Mike's After Action Reviews. I am Mike, and this is the third quarter action update for 2024. So everybody, as always, we are going to start off with what has happened in the last 3 months. So our section here is In Case You Missed It. So we have had some reviews. So this is the last quarter's reviews. We had the Deadpool and Wolverine After Action review. We had the Deadpool and Wolverine merchandise review. Alien Romulus After Action review, the Alien Romulus merchandise review, Beetlejuice After Action review. So now Deadpool and Wolverine I did with Mr. Brownie God, so go check out Mr. Brownie God. He has his own channel. Alien Romulus and Beetlejuice I did with Tommy Boy. So I know that's a little bit light, and basically what happened with the video games is that I released a video game review just before the beginning of the quarter, and I released a video game review just after the beginning of the quarter, and that was Stellar Blade, and then actually we did two right at the end of the quarter, which was Frostpunk and Astrobot. Frostpunk was Tommy Boy's first review on his own. It was a rapid action review. Go check those out. So I know that we were light. As I said, a lot of things have happened. We had a vacation in the middle of all of that, and moving forward, I'm going to try to mitigate some of those things, and we're going to talk about it. So, the Action Pack needs you. You can support Mike's After Action Reviews on our Patreon for as little as $3 a month. Every quarter, once we've made at least $200, we're going to be giving away 10% of our earnings from Patreon in a giveaway over on our Twitch, so go check that out as well. You can find all of the links for everything in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Do your part. Support the pack, the Action Pack. I do want to talk about last quarter's releases. So moving forward, we're going to do 2 releases. I think I said this last time. We're going to do 2 movies, 2 video games. Doing 3 is a lot to cover 3 months. So the first one we're going to talk about was in July. So The First Descendant. It released, and by the way, these are not games that we've reviewed. If this is your first time watching the action updates, this is news. Okay, this is how these games and movies did. We're going to talk about their performance. So this is the news portion of Mike's After Action Reviews. So, The First Descendant released on PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Xbox Series X and S. It released on July 2nd, and as far as its production, it was developed by Nexon Games. and it was published by Nexon and Nexon Korea. So the critical reception goes as follows. The review scores from Steam are 55%, which is mixed. IGN is a 5 out of 10, and GameSpot is a 3 out of 10, being a little bit of the outlier. Basically, that's 2 average scores and 1 below average. So, okay, so then the consensus that I got. Now, I'm going to read this because I said a lot of things in here, and excuse me, but this is actually a summary that I wrote of what the reviewers, how the reviewers rated the game. So, the game has fast-paced combat with unique characters, but the story is poorly written, the missions are dull, and the game is made to be very grindy to encourage you to indulge in its predatory monetization scheme. I actually did read quite a bit on Steam about how people were like, this thing is just monetized. So, as far as the game's profitability, so when it comes to video games, there's never specific numbers unless the publisher decides to give us an insight, but they don't, typically there's not information on that. But from the Chosun Daily, which is CHOSUN, on August 1st, 2024, since its global launch on July 2nd, The First Ascendant has rapidly gained popularity, reaching a peak concurrent player count of 220,000 on Steam and topping global sales charts. Now, so far, I will say this, for games that have the fast-paced combat, good combat, and some good characters, and are also heavily monetized and pay to win, there's always going to be a lot of people. There's always going to be people that play those. It's going to irritate probably the majority of gamers, but there's always going to be a good number of gamers that are going to play that because they can pay. They can just pay to win. They don't have to. People love spending money to get things instead of doing the work. So, no matter how you or I feel about that, that is how it goes. So from here, we're going to skip doing a second video game entry for July because there's a third video game entry in a later month, September. But we're going to talk about that later. So moving on to the movie releases for July. So we had Despicable Me 4, which was released on July 3rd, 2024. The production companies were Universal Pictures and Illumination Entertainment. It was directed by 2 directors, Chris Renaud and Patrick Delage, or Delage, D-E-L-A-G-E. I'm not good with names, so please bear with me. Okay, so the critical reception are as follows. IMDb gave it a 6.2 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes. So we had the top critics gave it 50%. All critics gave it 56%. The audience, as far as the verified audience gave it an 87%, and all audience gave it a 78%. Its Metascore was 52, with the user score being 6.3. The critical consensus is as follows. This entry in the series is okay, which is disappointing for these movies. The minions are funny, but the villain was weak, and the story for the franchise seems to have run its course. So that's probably one that they want to retire at least for a while. Yeah, based on review scores. Let's see how it did in the box office. So, profitability from Collider, all right, on July 10th, 2024. Collider.com, by the way. On June 10th, 2024. The overall budget for Despicable Me 4 is approximately $100 million, arguably the most out of the 4 Despicable Me movies, with the exception of Minions: The Rise of Gru. So, and then also from BoxOfficeMojo.com, its domestic box office was $361 million. Its international box office was $602 million, with a worldwide box office of $963 million off of a $100 million budget. They will make another movie. Yeah, that is a huge, that's almost 10 times the budget, so that is a great success. I mean, I'm happy for them to have great success. Hopefully they can reinvigorate the story moving forward, because people seem to think it's in a little bit of a lull. Then again, you know, it is a movie that they're going to take kids to, so I don't think that it is an appropriate excuse to say, oh, well, it's bad, but it's a kids movie, so it's okay. But I do think that kids will give it a pass, especially much younger kids. more often than adults will. So, yes. All right. So, then moving into the big one. Now, this is one that we did a review of right here on this channel, and I loved this one. Deadpool and Wolverine, released on July 26th, 2024. The production companies were Marvel Studios, 20th Century Studios, and Maximum Effort, which is Ryan Reynolds' production studio. It was directed by Sean Levy. Its critical reception is as follows. So IMDb gave it a 7.8 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes. So top critics gave it a 62%. All critics gave it a 78%. And the audience score is 94% from verified audiences, and all audiences gave it a 93%. The Metascore was 56, and the user score was 8.1 from Metacritic. The critical consensus is as follows. Audiences love the movie for its action, comedy, and the tributes it pays to what has come before. Critics overall liked it less than audiences, but the critics who gave it bad scores wrote generally good things about the film in particular, and seemed to penalize their review scores based on dissatisfaction with the MCU in general. Really, and I will say, I really did find that. I found people who said like, oh, the MCU hasn't been doing well, and so this movie's not good. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Everybody loved this movie. I loved the movie. Come on now. As far as its profitability, let's take a look. So from Variety.com on July 23rd, 2024, Disney spent about $200 million to produce and roughly another $100 million to promote the movie. So keep those numbers in mind. From BoxOfficeMojo.com, domestically it made $636 million, internationally it made $700 million, and the worldwide box office, with those two numbers put together, was $336 million. Oh, I loved this movie. I'm very happy that they have found success. It would be great to have Hugh Jackman come back for more roles in the MCU. The MCU hasn't been doing well. It's interesting to see how Spider-Man No Way Home was a Sony movie more than it was a Marvel movie. This movie is basically a Fox movie. It's basically a Ryan Reynolds movie more than it is a Marvel movie. All of the Marvel movies that are not part of the mainline Marvel universe and have not been really made by Marvel are doing much better than the movies in the MCU that are made by Marvel. I don't know what I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I kind of have some ideas about what that means, but we can talk about that at a later time. But yeah, so I hope that movies like this are what start coming out of Marvel rather than what they've been making lately. There was one character, so if Hugh Jackman decides to officially retire, there is one actor that was in this movie that I think could take the role of Wolverine in the future, and it would be really great for this particular actor, and I'm not going to spoil it for you. You've either seen the movie or you've seen the thing, but I still don't want to spoil it for those people who have been living under a rock for the last couple of months. So that is it for July. Let's talk about August. So first video game for August, Black Myth Wukong, came out on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. Its release date was August 20th, 2024. It was developed and published by Game Science Interactive Technology Company. Its critical reception was as follows. So IGN gave it an 8 out of 10. GameRant gave it a 6 out of 10. And Games Radar gave it a 4 out of 5. So the game is great. This is the critical consensus. The game is great. The combat is top tier. The bosses are exciting. And the world is beautiful. The only problems with the game are some minor technical issues at the time of launch and the lack of a map, which makes exploration more tedious than it needs to be. I will say that on some of these reviews that I watched, there were comments and people were saying, now I didn't play the game, but people were saying in the comments, like, how can you give this an 8 out of 10 and then give other games a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10? This game was so much better than them. I think that the critic scores here were a little bit skewed. as they tend to be nowadays. It's so stupid. They focus on things that have nothing to do with what actually makes the game. Like they focus on things that are, kind of unimportant to the quality of the game, and audiences are just loving the game, and they're saying that it's not so great. I don't get it. Yeah. So anyway, moving on to the profitability. The truth of the matter is in how much money it's made. From GameWorldObserver.com on October 10th, 2024, we estimated that the total development cost of Black Myth Wukong surpassed 300 million won, which is $42.3 million. The quote, released by China's State Taxation Administration on October 8th, reads, okay, and then later down in the article, Black Myth Wukong has already recoupled its investment. It's recouped. Man, I cannot read today. Black Myth Wukong has already recouped its investments multiple times. It sold 10 million copies globally in its first 3 days, crossing the 18 million mark in 2 weeks. VG Insights estimates the game's gross revenue at over $1 billion on Steam alone. So on PlayStation and Xbox, this game altogether has made so much freaking money. So for all those critics that were deducting points for things that gamers think are unimportant, you can go eat crow. That's all that there is to it. Very happy for Game Science Interactive Technology. Keep it up. We can't wait to see the next one. I really need to play this game. I've just think, like I said, life happens, and I have to be careful of how I manage my time when it comes to playing video games versus doing reviews and movies and all this stuff. So it's kind of difficult for me to be able to always play what I want to. But great job, guys. Okay, so then the second game is Star Wars Outlaws. It released for PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S. Came out on August 30th, 2024. It was developed by Massive Entertainment and published by that very beloved publisher, Ubisoft. The critical reception is as follows. So GameSpot gave it a 6 out of 10. IGN gave it a 7 out of 10. IGN gives everything a 7 out of 10, so doesn't say much. OnlyComicUniverse.com gave it a 6.6 out of 10. The critical reception is as follows. The game was underwhelming. The idea of being able to explore previously unseen parts of the Star Wars universe in an open-world game is great, but the combat is repetitive, the stealth sucks, and the choices you make in the game don't carry much weight. Yep, that's basically everything I've heard about it. I've heard that, though, that the game not only was, so this is from the critics' consensus, but from audiences and Steam and other people who've been playing the game and making videos showcasing some of the problems that it has and the things they don't like. This game was less than underwhelming. It was bad. So keep that in mind. The critics gave it, maybe I think, gave it a little bit of a better hand than audiences or gamers. So but let's talk about its profitability. So from IGN on September 4th, IGN.com, its development budget was said to be at least 30% higher than that of 2023's Assassin's Creed Mirage, but Twitch data suggests Outlaws is underperforming Mirage by about 15%. Okay, and then from Insider Gaming on September 30th, Insider Gaming hasn't been able to learn what the expected sales figures was for Star Wars Outlaws, but we have secured a current sales figure from sources close to the game. At the time of writing, Star Wars Outlaws has just ticked over 1 million sales worldwide. To put that into perspective, we reported in January 2024 that 3 months after Assassin's Creed Mirage had hit the market, it had secured 5 million sales. So, this game, probably a huge failure. Yeah, I mean, Star Wars has been... just everything related to Star Wars has sucked lately, and that's really, really unfortunate. All right, now we're moving on to the big one for this month. and it is a movie. And we're gonna see. I don't know. We're gonna let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought of these movies and video games as I'm going over them, because I want to hear what you have to say. Borderlands, released August 9th, 2024. It was produced, so the production companies were Lionsgate, Arad Productions, and Picture Start. It was directed by Eli Roth. So the critical reception, IMDb gave it a 4.5 out of 10, which is actually really nice compared to what else I'm about to say here. The Rotten Tomato scores. So top critics gave it a 3%. All critics gave it a 10%. Audience scores. Verified audience is 51% and all audience is 36%. On Metacritic, the Metascore was 26. The user score was 3.1. So basically what that says to me is IMDb gave it a higher score than probably it was, worthy of. And the verified audience also gave it a little bit of a higher score than it was worthy of, because Rotten Tomatoes, critics, and all audiences, and Metacritic all thought that this movie sucked. So, I loved the first game. I played the second game. I kind of fell off after the second game, like with the second game. I really liked the first game, though. I played through that game so many times. There were some changes that I was a little disappointed in the second game, and so I didn't really get into it. But man, I loved the first Borderlands game. So, critical consensus, though. It's terrible in every way. But the biggest issues were casting, where the casting was bad. There was bad CGI and a bad script and bad dialogue. And a lackluster and boring story. It should also be noted that the movie is nothing like the games. So if you loved the Borderlands games, this movie just wasn't for you. And I think that if you breathe air and are a carbon-based organism, the movie probably wasn't for you either. Let's talk about its profitability. Everything is answered in how much money it makes. Let's talk, almost all of the time. Most of the time, that's true. So, profitability. So, from gamesindustry.biz.com on September 12th. It, meaning Borderlands, reportedly had a production budget of $155 million with marketing and distribution costs at $30 million. Are you ready to find out how much money it made against a budget like that? So that's $180 million. Keep that in your mind. $185 million it needed to make. From boxofficemojo.com, domestically it made $15 million and internationally it made $17 million, leading to a worldwide box office of $32 million. This thing crashed and burned and died and was resurrected again to crash and burn and die again. That's how bad this was. This was torture. I feel bad for Kate Blanchett. Kevin Hart is usually a funny guy. I think he was seriously miscast. What are these people doing? I just don't know. This was embarrassing. It's cringy for me to even read this. All right, let's move on from that one. Alien Romulus. Okay, so released on August 16th. Production companies were 20th Century Studios, Scott Free Productions, and Brandywine Productions. Director was Fede Alvarez. The critical reception is as follows. From IMDb, we got a 7.2 out of 10. From Rotten Tomatoes, we got the top critics giving it a 73. All critics giving it an 80%. Verified audience give it an 85. All audiences give it an 81%. From Metacritic, the Metascore was 64 and the user score was 7.1. The critical consensus is as follows. Now, I really loved this movie, but this is what the critics say, so let's check it out. So, the movie harkens back to the Alien franchise of old. Although it is imperfect, it is a solid entry in the series that returns to the tried-and-true thriller/horror formula that the fans know and love. So, I completely agree with this. I completely agree with this. I think that this was a great movie. I don't think that it was perfect. I think that there were things that they did that didn't work, but it's like imagine, so with Alien, Covenant, and Prometheus, I thought that those movies, I just didn't like what they were doing. Yeah. And so for this to kind of be course correcting is much appreciated. So it's like the movies were, first of all, Alien 3, Alien 4, Alien vs. Predator I did like. I didn't like the second Alien vs. Predator movie. So it was like these movies came out and they were this huge, great success. Then and it was like, then the second one came out and it was like, whoa, we're really going. And then it went like this. Okay. And then I liked the Alien vs. Predator, but a lot of people didn't like it. Okay. But then, we've kind of aimed the ship where we're like, okay, let's get this series back and do something good here with the Alien movies. We've had some kind of revived interest in the Predator movies. I know that Prey was received well. I never watched that one, but it was received well. And so let's get the aliens going here. And, bringing them back into space on a space station and some of the things that they did. I think that where the ship is aimed up. Now all they've got to do is give it some gas and keep the chart rising here. So let's talk about profitability. Everything, like I said, it's all about the money. So from Screen Rant on September 1st, 2024, the movie boasts a production budget of $80 million compared to Prometheus's budget of roughly $130 million from boxofficemojo.com. So we've got $80 million budget. The rule of thumb is what they say is double that to break even because of marketing costs and other miscellaneous costs. So we have the domestic box office was $105 million. Internationally, it made $245 million, which is a worldwide box office of $350 million, which is a huge success compared to an $80 million budget. I really hope that's more than 4 times its budget. I really hope that they improve upon it here. And, I want every movie and every video game that comes out to be great. So that way I and you can play great video games and watch great movies. So I hope that this pattern continues. And like I said, they give it some gas and move it forward here. So moving into September. So we had Astrobot, released on the PlayStation 5. The release date was September 6th. Now, I did a review, but the review came out after the end of the quarter. It took me a long time to do this, and I'm sorry to say that. I know I kind of screwed up on how long it took me. I was really far behind this quarter. I'm going to try to catch back up and keep everything in order, on time, moving forward here. So the release date was, like I said, September 6th, 2024. The developer was Team Asobi, and the publisher was Sony Interactive Entertainment. The critical reception is as follows. So IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. GameSpot gave it a 9 out of 10. And The Gamer gave it a 5 out of 5. The critical consensus was as follows. The game pushes the platformer genre and the PS5 to its full potential with its great level design and the use of all the dual sense wireless controllers features. Every level has something new and unique with varied environments and special abilities for your character. It should also be mentioned that anyone who has any amount of history with Sony games will definitely be getting a visit from the spirit of games past. I think that's what the critics say. Now I'm going to tell you, go check out my review because we get into the details of the mechanics of the game to give you a more detailed idea of what you're going to be getting into when you play games. That's how we do the after action reviews. But I really loved this. This was a great game, fun time, and that's all that matters, is that it was a fun freaking time. And that's what people need to understand. I am more into narrative games. This is not a narrative game, but it didn't matter because it was a fun freaking time. So these people need, who make video games, they need to understand that. They need to stop trying to be important and start trying to be entertaining. Anyway, there's me standing on my soapbox for just a little bit here. Okay, so let's talk about profits. From GameRant.com on September 16th, 2024, GamesIndustry.biz's Christopher Dring remarked on Twitter that Astrobot managed a solid launch in the UK as well. Not only did Astrobot's sales track 21% ahead of 2021's Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, but Dring also confirmed in a follow-up tweet that Astrobot is the fastest-selling original platformer IP outside of Mario in the last decade, beating the likes of iconic names like Sonic, Kirby, Crash Bandicoot, and more. Overall, Astrobot was only topped by Space Marine 2's sales performance in the UK, which is quite respectable. Space Marine 2 is amazing. People have loved it. I haven't played it, but I'm saying like it's everybody loves that game. Everybody says that it's just great in every way. And we're going to get into that in a second, but Astrobot here is, if you like platformers, if you want more of an arcadey game than a narrative experience, and that is not a shooter, check out Astrobot. This was a great game. And go check out my review. So, moving on to the next game, Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 for the PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. Came out on September 9th, 2024. It was developed by Saber Interactive and published by Focus Entertainment. The critical reception is as follows. So the review scores here from IGN was an 8 out of 10. GameSpot gave it an 8 out of 10, and Steam has it at a 7 out of 10, which is mostly positive. The consensus was that the game has excellently brutal and fast-paced combat, great lore and world building, and a compelling story. The only real drawback is that it doesn't break the third-person shooter mold, but who cares? It takes a tried-and-true archetype and utilizes it to the fullest. Something I think that a lot of people need to realize is, game developers, if you're watching this, please listen. Stop trying. Okay, sometimes it's okay. Okay? Sometimes it's okay to try to do something new when you can do it effectively. But you stop thinking that you need to completely reinvent the wheel all the time. Tried and true games. Tried and true games. People want a new narrative, a couple of maybe different features, better graphics from the last generation. Okay, all of that rolled into a game that has mechanics that we all like and love. That's it. That is it. And that's actually what they said they did here in some other stuff I read about this, is that we weren't trying to reinvent the wheel. We just took some stuff that worked and did that. There you go. Like, there's just no reason to do anything different than what works. Stop trying to do things that don't work. That's what I'm saying. So let's talk about numbers here. So from IGN.com, excuse me. From IGN.com, for whatever reason, I didn't write down the date. That's my bad. We're going to talk about it here, though. So from IGN.com, Saber, Willits insisted, developed Space Marine 2 affordably, with a budget less than half of that of Doom Eternal. The last game Willits worked on while boss of id Software before leaving to join Saber in 2019. We don't need to sell 4 million units to make it, meaning Space Marine 2, a success, Willits said. So, it's financials. Like, there's just no way. Like, it's a financial success. This is great. They did it affordably. The game's budget didn't get too bloated, and they did it in a way that used, like I said, things that worked. They put things that worked and are fun into the game. That's all you need. All right, so now we're going to talk about the third game in September, which I'm excited to talk about. So, Frostpunk 2, released on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. It was released on September 20th, 2024. It was developed and published by 11-Bit Studios, and the critical reception is as follows. So on Steam it has a 73%, which is mostly positive. IGN gave it an 8 out of 10, and Eurogamer gave it a 5 out of 5. The critical consensus is as follows. The game is a triumph. It is a reinvention and improvement upon everything from the first game. The larger scale of the sequel makes it less intimate than the first, but what is gained from the widened scope is exactly what a sequel is supposed to be. A reinvention and improvement upon everything from its predecessor. Now look, Tommy Boy did the review. This was Tommy Boy's first solo review. So, that is great. That is great. He did a rapid action review, but go check it out. He did a very good job. I didn't play the first one. He did. And he said that he loved it. What they were talking about with it being a little less intimate, I just don't think that that's a problem after talking with him and looking over what other people are saying. Because while some fans probably, but I think it's probably going to be a minor number instead of a majority, but some fans are probably going to have a little bit of a problem with the changes. I think that the majority, an overwhelming majority of people are going to like the changes because like I said, like the critics said here in my critic summary, is that it's exactly what it's supposed to be as a sequel. It's expanding upon the original, which means that there's going to be changes. So I think that that's great. And yeah, I mean, that's it. I think that it's great. I think it'll definitely be worth the while for you to go check out. But let's talk about the numbers. So from IGN on September 24th, 2024. So in a tweet, 11-Bit Studios said its self-published city-building survival sequel has already sold over 350,000 copies since going on sale on September 20th. That milestone was announced just a few days after launch. What's more, revenue made from the game so far is already enough to cover the cost of development as well as marketing. The total estimated sales revenue has already covered the cost we spent on producing and marketing the game, 11-Bit Studios said. That's a little reductive to say it and then quote them saying it. What kind of writing is that? Come on, IGN. So yeah, I mean, it's already covered its budget. I'm very glad for the game. This is excellent. Keep up the good work. Can't wait for Frostpunk 3. Or maybe they can go in a different direction and do like Firepunk. I don't know. Where you're on a fire planet. Whatever. Or a desert planet, actually. Sandpunk. There you go. I don't know. But anyway, let's talk about the movies. So, Beetlejuice, we did a review. Go check it out. September 5th is when it came out. September 5th, 2024. So, the production company was Warner Brothers. And so, Warner Bros. It was directed by none other than Tim Burton. So the critical reception was as follows. IMDb gave it a 6.9 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, top critics gave it a 69%. All critics gave it a 77%. Verified audience gave it an 80%. And all audiences gave it a 76%. Metacritic, the Metascore was 62. And the user score was 6.3. Now, I liked the movie. I didn't think that it was amazing. I thought it was okay. Like it was good. It was solid work, nothing special though. Solid work with nothing special, really. But go check out all of my thoughts in the review. So, the critical consensus though, kind of summing up everything the critics said was this. This was a lot of nostalgic fun. The acting was excellent and seeing the old characters back, especially Beetlejuice himself, was great. It's not as good as the original, and the story isn't anything special, but it's definitely worthwhile. So, yeah, like I said, I mean, they didn't do anything really super fantastic. There's some parts that that I didn't really like that they did, but the core of what they're doing here works really well, and the parts that I didn't like were kind of unnecessary. They didn't touch really what the whole point of the movie was. So yeah, but let's talk about the numbers. So from mensjournal.com on September 16th, 2024, while the film was ultimately produced for $99 million, its original budget hovered around $147 million, largely due to the salaries of its stars and producers. So think 147. We're going to double that for production, for marketing and everything. And then let's take a look at boxofficemojo.com. So domestically, it made $284 million. Internationally, it made $150 million, leading to a worldwide box office of $434 million. So, 280, basically 295, is what the cost of it was. It made it was moderately successful. Will there be a sequel? I don't know. But basically, they made $150 million. That's not bad. It's not bad. Good job. It was really cool to see Michael Keaton coming back. So, I enjoyed that. Maybe a sequel, maybe not, based on its moderate success. Okay, so then let's talk about the next one here. So, Am I a Racist? Released on September 13th, 2024. It was produced by Daily Wire Studios and Digital Astronaut and was directed by Justin Folk. Critical reception was as follows. So IMDb gave it a 6.9 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes. Top critics was NA because not enough people have reviewed it. All critics gave it a 71%. The verified audience gave it a 96%, and all audiences gave it a 94%. On Metacritic, there is no Metascore, but its user score is 7.8. And again, not enough reviewers reviewed it on Metacritic for it to have the Metascore. So, the critical consensus is as follows. This is a very funny movie that explores the DEI ideology with Matt Walsh asking questions and allowing those he interviews to give their legitimate thoughts, which you may or may not find absolutely ridiculous. So, basically, look, probably a lot of people are going to say, hey, it's a funny movie no matter what. It's a funny movie if you are, I'll just be honest with you, it's a funny movie if you are a left-wing, a moderate left-wing person, and you have an open mind. And if you are center or right, it's a funny movie because very few jokes are actually made, but some of the beliefs that are represented here are actually ridiculous, and that's just how it is. And it shines through in the audience scores. I do understand that audiences that went and saw this movie and then probably wrote reviews were probably people who kind of understood what it was about and kind of knew they were going to like it, so they went and saw it. But if you want to know more details about what the movie actually presents, written from a perspective that was kind of fair and balanced on this, I believe, go check out my review at Mike's After Action Reviews. Mike'sAfterActionReviews.com. You can find it in the written reviews section. So, let's talk numbers. From usnews.com on September 15th, Am I a Racist? Cost a reported $3 million to make. From BoxOfficeMojo.com, domestically it made $12 million. And there was no international release, so there is no international box office numbers. But basically, it made 4 times its budget, you double the budget to $6 million for marketing, it made double its production and marketing budget. That is a huge success, and great for them. Great for them. I think that there's nothing wrong with people. I talk about this in my written review, but all this guy does is ask people questions and they answer them. There's nothing wrong with that. So, yeah, that's it. All right, so those were last quarter releases. Those were our reviews from last quarter. We talked about those. Go check them out, guys. So now you know. Let's move into the next section, though. Well, okay, I will say this. I think that last quarter we had some hits and some misses. I think it's interesting to see how the general trend of theater releases and just everything, like Hollywood and movies and everything in general now, is just, you can see it's on a downward trend. The total box office numbers have been going down year over year. It's unfortunate to see. I hope that Hollywood kind of takes off its blinders, pulls its head out of its butt, and starts making stuff that people actually want to see and pay to see, because that's the main thing. People always say that Hollywood is all about the money. Well, then why are they losing so much money all the time? Get over it, guys. Start making money again, because if you're making money, that means that you're selling something people want to buy. Make things for me that I want to buy. Anyway, I love my awesome Support the Troops Stormtrooper mug. Do you know where you can get a mug just like this one, but different? Bottega Krua. Bottega Krua is an Italian born and raised artisan trained at the Academy of Fine Arts in Venice, Italy. Since 2010, Bottega Krua has offered unique handmade and hand-painted ceramics, pottery, and other artistic products. You can find these products at her Etsy store by following the link down below. She also takes custom orders, but they may take longer to ship because she has to make them after you order them. So, go check out Bottega Krua to get yourself an awesome mug just like this one or the ones you've been seeing behind me as this ad has been going on. Remember guys, supporting our partners is supporting the pack, the Action Pack. Okay, so let's talk about what I am currently working on. So huge news here at Mike's After Action Reviews. The YouTube channel got monetized. Yay! All right, so that means that I'm rich now. I'm making all kinds of money. No, I'm not making all that much money. You're going to be able to tell how much money I make on the YouTube channel simply by this factor. Every quarter, I made a vow. I promised every quarter we're going to do a giveaway of a certain amount of money based on 10% of what we pull in from ad revenue and memberships and all that stuff. So the ad revenue and memberships, the ad revenue and memberships and all of that are going to they have to equal up to $200. Once we hit a minimum of $200, then we're going to do a $20 or more giveaway. So if we make $500, we give away $50. If we don't hit that threshold, it rolls over into the next quarter. So make sure that you tell your mama, your papa, and your grandma all to go check out mikesafteractionreviews.com and become a member of the Action Pack. So that's great. Hopefully we expand and we're able to do more, like get people who can help me edit the videos and get them out on time, more content for you guys. And yeah, I'm having a great time here, guys. I love doing this. The YouTube channel is owned by my business, MAARs Media, and it's just a great time all around, like I said. I don't want to go work for anybody else, so help me make money so that way I don't have to. I've been open about this. I have a pension from the Army, because I was in the Army, and so I'm okay. But more money means that we can do more, and if you like the content, trust you're gonna want us to do more, bigger and better and more fun things. Okay, so also as you noticed when we went over the reviews that we've done, so we have more merchandise reviews, which I think is a great thing. We talked about the Venom. The Venom popcorn box. I have we did the Dune bucket when Dune came out, but that was, it was just less common for us to do merchandise reviews. We did Deadpool and Wolverine. I have the face hugger popcorn bucket from Alien Romulus. This was all a bunch of great stuff, and we would like to continue to bring all of that. Let us know in the comment section down below about how you're feeling about how things are going and the different changes that we're making, and also let us know about things that you would like to see us do. I also just want to give a big round of applause, or a big thank you as well, to Staff Sergeant Matt. So Staff Sergeant Matt is now editing the shorts. Just letting you know, Staff Sergeant Matt is one of my partners in my business, and now he's doing the shorts for the YouTube channel, but he also does the website. He's our webmaster. So big thank you to Staff Sergeant Matt. You're a great guy. I really appreciate all of your help. All right. So,
hi, it's Travis with Oscar Mike Radio. Oscar Mike Radio is a military and veterans podcast and show about those who serve our country and those who have served and are doing amazing things.
You know what? Let's take more. And then they had that fantastic
managing those logistics and getting things where they need to be on time.
I mean, come on.
Want to learn more? Want to follow the show? Go to OscarMikeRadio.com or the link below. We're Oscar Mike, and we're mission in flight. Thank you.
moving forward, so moving forward here. So moving forward, as I said before, the giveaways, we're going to be doing that. Check for that. We've got the MAARs Summit going to be coming up in January. I've got to plan that. For sure, we're going to have Mr. Brownie God. I'm going to ask Salty Skipper if he would like to return. Matt, Staff Sergeant Matt, other Mike, and Tommy Boy are all going to get invitations. We'll see who can make it to this one, and this will be a great time. So let's check out. So there you go. That's what's going on with what I'm currently working on and things that we're going to be working on in the future. We also have some more video game news with the upcoming releases, or ones that maybe haven't been announced or anything yet, but we have some information on them. So let's take a look at that. So releases later this year. First one up. So, okay, some of these, like, we're in November right now, but I know that this action update is coming up late, and I'm really behind. Next action update is going to cover some of this stuff. So we had Joker Filet Adieu, came out on October 4th. I'll just tell you guys outright, it failed at the box office, and critics and everybody hated it, but it's being produced by Warner Bros. And Todd Phillips. We are going to be looking over the critic reception of that in the next action update, and we are going to be talking about its box office numbers in the next action update. So there's that. We'll see how bad it actually did at the box office. That's the big one that I think a lot of people like to hear from us. Venom 3 came out October 25th. I did a review of it. Go check it out, from Sony. It was directed by Kelly Marcel. In November, we had Mario and Luigi Brothership, came out November 7th. For Nintendo Switch. It was developed by Acquire and published by Nintendo. We're not playing that one, but I am playing the next one. So Empire of the Ants just came out. I'm going to be live streaming. I've done one live stream. I'm going to continue to do that. Came out for PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S. Empire of the Ants. So it was released on November 7th, developed by Tower 5 and published by Microids. I'm liking the game so far. Yeah, go check it out. It's on Steam. Then we have movies. So Red 1, November 10th. So that's shortly. You guys are probably gonna this action update is gonna come out after the movie having been released, because I have to edit the video. But it is being produced by Warner Bros. And it is being directed by Jake Kasdan. I think I'm gonna be able to get around to go seeing that movie and doing a review. But then we also have Gladiator 2, which is actually one that I'm not so much interested in, but it's coming out on November 22nd from Paramount Pictures and being directed by Ridley Scott. I gotta tell you something, I'm not so much interested in this, and Ridley Scott, actually, he's kind of started to get into a phase of his career where things are getting rocky with his movies, so just, yeah. Alright, so then, moving into December, we've got, for video games, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, releasing on PC, Xbox Series X and S. This has a new release date. So before we didn't have the release date, but now it's been revealed to be December 9th. It is developed by Machine Games, and it's going to be published by Bethesda Softworks. Now, here's a big one that I for sure am going to play. So I do think that Tommy Boy, he's going to be doing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I am going to be reviewing a game that I absolutely love. I already know that I'm going to love it, but I'm going to review it anyway because I love it. So let's check it out. Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remastered. Coming out for PS5, Switch, Xbox, and PC. I'm going to play this because I loved the originals. I am playing them right now, still on Steam. So, to get them on the PlayStation 5 is going to be great. So releasing December 10th, 2024. And I don't believe there's going to be a physical release. It's all going to be digital because I called my GameStop. I can't pre-order them or anything. But so it's the production companies are Aspyr and Crystal Dynamics, and it's being published by Aspyr. Then we have movies. Kraven the Hunter, coming out December 13th. I think that we're for sure absolutely going to go see this. It used to be August 30th. Now it's December 13th. The production company is Sony, and it's being directed by J.C. Chandler. Can't wait. It's going to be Craven time. Okay, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, releasing on December 20th, 2024, from Paramount Pictures and Jeff Fowler. That's a new one. I'm really happy with this. Keanu Reeves is attached to the project. I've seen the other two movies. I did a review of them, but then I found out that the person who I was doing a review with was committing fraud in the army, and they tried to take reprisals against me using command, and it became a big thing, and I was already getting out of the army, so I took my pension and got out, and it was fine, and I'm doing great. They're still stuck in the army, and now I'm making more money than them, and all of that. Turned out pretty good for me, but unfortunately, you guys can't see the review that I did with this person. Anyway, yeah. So that is what we have for releases that have release dates, okay? And currently we have a couple of games that are highly anticipated but do not have release dates, so this is the to be announced section.
The people of Atro City don't understand what it takes to keep them sleeping safely at night. The thin veneer of society masks the darkness that gnaws at the edges of their soft, easy lives. Criminals, the scum of the earth, they're always waiting, hungry at the door. I don the mantle of the cassowary in their name. Without me, there would be chaos, death, and destruction. I am justice. I am order. I am the one who will do what is necessary. I am the Wing. You can read my story in Tales of Nihilism at globalcomics.com.
Wolf Among Us 2, coming out for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. It's a production company, so it's being developed by Telltale Games and developed and published by Telltale Games. So this was from The Gamer on October 23rd. A new rumor, thegamer.com on October 23rd, 2024. A new rumor recently began circulating, spread by a now deleted account on Reddit named famous_abrocoma_41, reported on by Glitched, that Telltale Games had run out of budget and would be forced to shelve The Wolf Among Us 2. The post read as follows: I've heard from a source close to the development team at Telltale Games that The Wolf Among Us 2 is in serious trouble due to budget constraints. While the project hasn't been officially canceled yet, they're at a critical point where they might have to have no choice but to shelve it. There was no evidence to back this claim up, but Telltale Games still gave a response to an inquiry by Eurogamer. It reads, as a rule, we don't comment on rumors and unsubstantiated Reddit threads. The development on The Wolf Among Us 2 continues, and we're excited to share more about the game with Telltale fans and our community when the time is right. So, this is a highly anticipated game. It's the only Telltale game that I've played all the way through. The first one was the only one that I played all the way through, and it was amazing. And I would really like to see Telltale Games make The Wolf Among Us 2. Come on now. Hopefully they can get this game out, and then it kind of launches them into a great amount of success where they can make more games. Because they're a good production company, but they've had some rocky problems. They've had a rocky past. They went out of business and then were resurrected, and now we don't know what's going to happen, and hopefully they can get this game made. All right, so moving on. Here is another highly anticipated game with a rocky production here. So we've got Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 from PlayStation 5, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Microsoft Windows, Xbox Series X, and Series S. It's got a new release window. I will say that this game basically was going to come out 4 years ago, and a bunch of games came out that were really politically charged, and they all failed, and everybody got really pissed off about it. And then the developers of this game said, "Wait, stop, no!" and they turned the horse around because the story of this game, they basically had admitted multiple times and talked about it, even flaunted the fact that this was going to be a politically charged game, and once they realized that that might not work out, they decided to change things up a bit. So moving forward, let's check this out. But it's been really rocky since. So they basically had to remake the entire game, is my understanding. So, okay, but the developer is the Chinese Room, which was previously Hardsuit Labs, and I think that they basically had creative differences over a lot of the stuff they wanted to change, and so they kicked out Hardsuit Labs, and those were the guys who made the original game, which really sucks and has, I don't know. So, but there were people that were part of that team. Now all of a sudden, there were people from that team that, like I said, creative differences, they had to kick them out. So, but the publisher is Paradox Interactive. So from GamesRadar.com on August 23rd, 2024, the Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 release date is set for the first half of 2025, according to developer The Chinese Room. The game was recently scheduled to be released in fall of 2024, however, has been pushed back as the team works to polish it and ensure that it meets fans' high expectations. After all, its predecessor, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, is one of the best RPGs of all time. Yeah, I love that game. So it has a lot to live up to. The Chinese Room has also said that this extra time is being used to expand the game's story and will have twice as many endings as the first Bloodlines. Exciting stuff. Okay, so I will say there was a gameplay preview in it, and people were kind of disappointed about it. When they watched it, it was like 20 minutes. I want to say, was it 20 minutes or 30? It was a longer preview where they went through a level of the game and showed a bunch of its features. People were disappointed because you have a protagonist that speaks, and there's certain RPG elements of it that weren't there that people expected. But I will say that the combat was really good. I have high hopes. We'll see what the changes that they make do to the game, like changes from what we've seen in the previous games. I don't know, guys. Just fingers crossed, because I loved the first one. I just want to have a good game. I love vampire games. Let me have a good one. Okay. Yeah. But then also we have Unrecord. So we have no news from Unrecord. Go check out my last action update about it, and you can see what it says. There's no release date currently. They've talked about basically they said that recently from the developers, they said that major announcement regarding the game's release date will be announced sometime in 2024, but they haven't done that yet, and we've had no news. So as of recording this video. Okay, then moving forward. So we have another highly anticipated game with a rocket. So basically it's funny because Wolf Among Us 2, Vampire the Masquerade 2, and then this next one have had such bad development cycles. And then Unrecord is the only one. It's from an independent game. So it was developed by and published by Drama, which is basically an independent studio. And they're the only ones without a rocky production here. But yeah, the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake releasing on PC, PS4, and Xbox. And the Xbox platforms. I loved the Prince of Persia Sands of Time. I thought it was great, and I can't wait for this one to come out. But it's being developed and published by Ubisoft. And from NintendoLife.com on June 10th, 2024, Ubisoft has finally put a release window on the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake 2026. Sands of Time Remake's release year announced during the Ubisoft Forward 2024 event alongside a brief teaser video comes after what was reportedly a troubled development. In November last year, Ubisoft said the Ubisoft Montreal project had passed an important internal milestone and that development was progressing. So, I mean, listen guys, the development of this game has been ongoing for a long time. My understanding is that they basically, again, had to just completely remake the game. It doesn't bode well to hear something like that, but I hope, like Red from Shawshank Redemption, I hope. Yeah, so that is everything that we have for the third quarter of 2024. I hope that you guys appreciate all of the news that we can bring you, and you found it informative and entertaining. I know, like I said in the beginning of the video, I know that I have been slow in doing certain things. I hope that as we get monetized, we can make more partnerships that'll allow us to have higher production values, better release schedules for the videos. Do go and check out the trailer reaction live streams that are happening every Friday at 6. And we are releasing, I almost every week, very few times do I get delayed in releasing the trailer reactions, but they release for members on Thursdays, and then for the general public, subscribers on Fridays. So go check that out. Consider joining as a member. Consider buying some merch. We've got the werewolf shirts. So if you want to be a member of the Action Pack, you got to have the wolf shirt, right? That's cool. And other merch like that, which you'll see down in, above the description here, just below, or below the description, above the description. It's below the video. Go check all of that out, guys. I really appreciate your support. Thank you for watching, and I just want to say God bless you all, and have a good day. Don't forget to check me out on Twitch and join the Discord, where you can voice chat with me while I live stream, and you won't be recorded or anything on YouTube and Twitch, so that's pretty cool. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. If you like to read, you can see my after-action reports on my blog. And if you are interested, you can get some merch from my spring store. The links for everything are in the description below.